Taurus, did you see a crow yesterday? If you did, it wasn't a fleeting glimpse. It wasn't a distant flight you barely noticed. It was there, still, watching you with those eyes that seemed to see right through you. And for a split second, just a second, your heart stopped. Something inside you recognized it as a message, a warning, a harbinger of something to come that you can no longer escape. You tried to shake the feeling, laughed at yourself for being superstitious, and went on with your day. But the image stuck with you, did it? The crow is still there, in the back of your mind, waiting for you to understand what it came to announce. Ever since that day, you've seen crows in strange places. In the tree outside your window when you wake up, in the parking lot when you leave work, crossing the street in front of you as you drive. And each time this happens, you feel a tightness in your chest, a sense that time is running out, that something important is trying to break through to the surface of your consciousness. You, who have always been so rational, so connected to the physical, tangible world, suddenly find yourself trapped in an experience you can't explain logically. Crows don't appear in anyone's life by chance, Taurus. They are ancient messengers, creatures that move between the visible and invisible worlds, carrying warnings of transformations that can no longer be postponed. And when they begin to cross your path repeatedly, when they become a constant presence in your field of vision, it's because something in your life needs to die so that something new can be born. And this death, symbolic yet devastatingly real, is exactly what you've been resisting with all your might. You know what I'm talking about. There's something in your life right now that you know you need to end, but you've been clinging to it tooth and nail. It could be a relationship that died long ago, but that you're artificially keeping alive because you can't handle the emptiness that will come afterward. It could be a job that drains your soul daily, but that you won't quit because it represents financial security. It could be an old version of yourself that you insist on being, even though you know it no longer serves who you're becoming. The Taurian nature clings. You build your lives like solid houses with deep foundations, and the thought of having to demolish something that took so much time and effort to build is terrifying. You prefer to repair endlessly, even when the structure is doomed, even when each day inside it is more suffocating than the last. The crows have come to tell you that there is no more repair, that the time has come to let fall apart what needs to fall apart. In ancient symbolism, ravens are associated with death, but not physical death, the death of the ego, the death of illusions, the death of patterns that imprison us. They appear in moments of portal, when we are about to cross from one state of being to a completely different one. And their appearance is not optional. It heralds something inevitable. You can resist, you can try to keep everything as it is, but the transformation has already begun, with or without your conscious permission. You've been feeling it, haven't you? That growing sensation that something is crumbling beneath you, as if the ground you thought was solid is revealing cracks. Situations you once controlled suddenly spiral out of control. People you thought you knew reveal completely unexpected sides. Plans that seemed certain begin to crumble without clear explanation. And the more you try to hold on, the more things slip through your fingers. This isn't bad luck, Taurus. This isn't the universe being cruel to you. It's the crows at work, meticulously undoing everything that needs to be undone in your life. They work in the shadows, making unsustainable what you stubbornly hold on to. They remove people, close doors, create situations that force you to let go of what you refuse to willingly let go of. And every crow that crosses your path is a reminder. This won't stop until you understand and accept the message. The warning the ravens bring isn't about random destruction. It's about sacred death, the kind that must happen for true life to emerge. They're telling you that you've been living an existence that no longer suits you, that you've been holding on to structures, relationships, jobs, identities that were once important, but are now just pretty prisons. And that if you don't have the courage to let them die, they'll rot with you still inside. For Tauruses born between April 20th and April 30th, crows signal a necessary death in the area of intimate relationships. Someone or something you thought was permanent is destined to end, and the more you resist, the more painful the process will be. For those born between May 1st and 10th, the sign is about professional identity or life purpose. An old version of who you thought you were meant to be needs to die so your true calling can be born. For those born between May 11th and 20th, crows warn of material or emotional attachments that are hindering your spiritual growth. The crow you saw wasn't there to scare you. It was there to prepare you, to give you time to process what's coming, to make peace with the end of a cycle, to say goodbye consciously instead of being swept away by change. But you've been using this time to deny, to rationalize, to look for ways to avoid the inevitable. And the crows keep appearing because you keep not understanding, or worse, understanding but refusing to act. Over the past few weeks, you've probably had strange dreams. Dreams about death, about houses collapsing, about losing precious things. You woke up with your heart racing, with a sense of loss you couldn't explain. These dreams are extensions of the raven's message, working in your subconscious when your conscious mind is too busy denying reality. Your spirit already knows what's coming. Only your stubborn mind continues to resist. Taurus, as you listen to me, you're remembering the raven, aren't you? You're reliving that moment when your eyes met, and something inside you simply knew your life would never be the same. You're remembering all the small deaths you felt these past few months. The death of illusions, the death of hopes, the death of versions of the future you carefully planned, but that will never materialize. And maybe this is the first time someone is telling you that it's okay to be afraid of this death, that it's normal to want to cling to the familiar, even when the familiar suffocates you, that you're not weak for resisting, you're human. But you're also strong enough to get through what needs to be gotten through, and the crows wouldn't come to you if you weren't ready, even if you don't feel ready. Leave a comment now saying, "I saw the crow and got the message," or "I haven't seen it yet, but I'm ready." It's not just a comment, it's a sacred acknowledgement. It's you admitting that you saw the sign, that you felt the truth behind it, and that even though you're afraid, you're preparing to honor the message. And when you put this into words, you're helping other Tauruses who also saw the crows, but haven't yet had the courage to acknowledge what it means. Your fear is valid, your resistance makes sense, but your transformation is inevitable. The truth no one told you about ravens is that they only appear to people strong enough to withstand the transformation they announce. They don't waste their messages on those who will completely crumble. They choose warriors, and you were chosen not because life thinks you won't suffer from the coming changes, but because it knows you have the inner strength to rise from the ashes of what needs to die. Your Taurian attachment, which you've always seen as a quality, loyalty, perseverance, commitment, is now being tested in ways you never imagined. Because there's a difference between being loyal to something that deserves your loyalty and being loyal to something that's destroying you from within. There's a difference between persevering towards something that truly matters and persevering to keep alive something that should have ended long ago. The crows came to teach you this difference. They came to show you that sometimes the greatest act of self-love is to let die what needs to die, even when every fiber of your being screams at you to hold on, maintain, preserve. They are teaching you that not everything you've built deserves to be maintained forever, that some constructions are temporary by nature, and trying to make them permanent is fighting against the very essence of life. Have you noticed strange synchronicities besides the crows? Repeating numbers, messages that seem to speak directly to your situation, people appearing out of nowhere telling you exactly what you needed to hear. It's all part of the same phenomenon. The entire universe is trying to wake you up, prepare you, gently or not so gently, nudge you toward the transformation you've been avoiding. The crows are just the most visible messengers. In the mythology of various cultures, ravens were seen as guides of souls between worlds. They appeared to help people navigate important transitions, especially those involving leaving behind old versions of themselves. They are not signs of bad luck. They are signs of profound metamorphosis. They warn, prepare yourself because you will need to let go of who you were to become who you need to be. And what you need to become, Taurus, is someone who isn't afraid to let go. Someone who understands that attachment isn't love, that control isn't security, that keeping things as they are isn't stability when those things are rotting inside. You need to become someone who trusts the process of death and rebirth, who knows that on the other side of the end, there's always a new beginning. The death that crows portend can manifest in many forms. It can be literal, the end of a relationship, the loss of a job, a forced move to another city or circumstance. Or it can be more subtle, the death of illusions about someone you loved, the collapse of a self-image you held, the painful recognition that a dream you once pursued is no longer what you truly want. Whatever the form, it hurts. Ravens know this. That's why they appear as a warning, to give you time to process, to grieve what's being lost, to make peace with the inevitable. They are compassionate in their cruelty, warning rather than simply letting you be blindsided by the coming transformation. Have you been trying to negotiate with the universe? If I change this, can I keep that? If I improve a little, don't I have to completely change? That negotiation doesn't work with crows. They don't accept half measures, half transformations, half deaths. Either you surrender completely to the process, or the process will simply drag you along until you have no choice. And here's something that might comfort you. Crows only announce deaths that have already begun. If they're appearing to you now, it means the transformation is already underway. You may have thought you were holding everything together, holding on tight, preventing the changes, but beneath the surface, the process of dissolution has already begun. The crows are only warning you of what your subconscious already knows. This means there's no going back. There's no undoing what's already been set in motion. And maybe, just maybe, that's liberating, because while you thought you had control over avoiding change, you were carrying an immense weight. Now that you know change is inevitable, you can stop fighting it and start flowing with it. You can stop wasting energy trying to stop what can't be stopped and start using that energy to prepare for what comes next. Ravens also carry a promise. After the death they announce comes rebirth, not immediately. There may be a period of emptiness, of mourning, of wandering in the dark, unsure of who you are now that the old you has died. But this period is necessary. It's the winter before spring, the night before dawn, and you, as a Taurus connected to the cycles of nature, understand this better than anyone, even when it's the middle of winter and spring seems impossible. What will rise from the ashes of what the ravens came to announce will be a more authentic, freer version of you, more aligned with your true purpose. It will be a you who no longer needs to keep up appearances, sustain dead relationships, or pretend to be happy when you're dying inside. It will be a you who has learned that letting go isn't weakness, it's wisdom. But to get there, you must go through the death the crows foretell. You must have the courage to say goodbye to what was. You must allow your heart to break so it can be rebuilt stronger and truer. You must accept that some things in life are not meant to last forever, and that trying to immortalize the temporary is a recipe for endless suffering. Taurus, the crows are waiting for your answer. They crossed your path, delivered the message, fulfilled their part. Now it's up to you to decide whether to honor the warning or continue pretending you didn't see, understand, or feel it. But know that the longer you postpone the inevitable, the more painful it will be when it finally happens, and it will happen with or without your cooperation. Over the next few weeks, you'll continue to see crows. They'll persist until you fully recognize their message and take action toward the transformation being asked of you. And each time you see them, instead of feeling fearful or trying to ignore them, try something different. Give thanks. Give thanks for being compassionate messengers who warned you. Give thanks for the opportunity to consciously participate in your own metamorphosis rather than being blindsided by it. And when the death they foretold finally happens, when the relationship ends, when the job is gone, when the old you completely collapses, remember that this isn't the end, it's the middle. It's the necessary phase between who you were and who you will become. It's painful, it's scary, it's disorienting, but it's also sacred, transformative, and absolutely necessary for your evolution. Ravens choose their deliveries carefully. They don't appear to everyone, not every moment. They appear at portal moments, when souls are ready, even if they don't feel ready, to leave behind what no longer serves them and embrace their next level of existence. The fact that they chose you means something profound about where you are in your spiritual evolution. You stand on the threshold, Taurus, between the old and the new, between who you were and who you are becoming, between death and rebirth. Ravens mark this threshold, guard this passage, guide brave souls through it. And they wouldn't lead you to something you couldn't survive and eventually thrive. Trust the ravens, trust the message, and most importantly, trust yourself to do what needs to be done, even when every Taurian instinct screams to hold on, preserve. Sometimes the greatest strength lies in letting go. Sometimes true stability comes from flowing with change, not resisting it. Sometimes you have to let everything fall apart to discover what's strong enough to remain standing. If the crows crossed your path, it wasn't an accident. It was a call, it was a warning. It was an invitation to a transformation that will redefine your life. The question isn't whether you'll go through it. You will. The question is, will you resist until forced, or will you consciously surrender to the process and actively participate in your own metamorphosis? If this video resonated with real-life experiences you're experiencing, if you saw the crows and felt that shiver of recognition, share it in the comments. No need to explain the details, just acknowledge that you received the message and are processing what it means for your life. Subscribe to the channel because your transformation will require ongoing support. You'll need reminders that you're on the right path, guidance for the darkest moments of your metamorphosis, and confirmation that what you're feeling is normal and part of the process. Turn on notifications to receive content that will strengthen you through this symbolic death and rebirth that the ravens have announced. They don't lie. They don't bring false alarms. If they've appeared, it's because something needs to end. But always remember, after every sunset, inevitably, the sun rises again.